What's up, guys? It's been a while since I've done a video, but I do have a project I need to do with some weld work. So what we're looking at right here is the front of my garage. As you can see, I actually have a significant gap from the threshold sinking on my door. And the issue I have is that the water, the way it runs through my driveway, it collects right here, right in front of this little piece of the block wall. And what happens in heavy rains and sometimes during the winter when the snow is melting is it will creep under my door. And even if I do fix the door, if I level out the door, fix the threshold, there's still a good chance that the water would creep in. But not to mention, fixing the door is not going to fix the water problem. The water is still going to collect right in this area right here, and it actually fills up quite a bit. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making a catch basin that will be roughly, this size right here, a square. And I'm going to cut a channel out because over here I have a foundation that goes into my lean-to. There's already a channel kind of chiseled out in between a walkway and the foundation, as you can see. I actually put a piece of pipe in there to see how it was going to fit. It actually has enough of a drop in there to get a very small grate out of a pipe. So I actually have been looking for a catch basin. I did go online and look for one. I'm gonna hop on there real quick right now. So real quick, I was gonna do a screen capture, but I'm just doing this quick just to show you that I'm aware of pre-made catch basins. This is the type that I need. It's a low profile catch basin, and to be honest with you, I held that catch basin in my hand at the store, and it is cheap. It is so chintzy. It is cheap too to buy. I mean, it's 22 bucks. As you can see, there are different types, and while these are great, and they'd probably work great out in like a lawn setting or somewhere where it won't be disturbed. And I get it, where it's sitting now, it's not going to really be disturbed too bad either. But I don't like buying things that are like cheap, and I don't mean in price. I mean just like quality. Most of these as well, like this design it won't work for me because the grade is so shallow that getting an angle on an angled pipe on this piece of PVC, it's just not going to work. I'd have to dig it way too deep, and then I'd have to dig that channel really, really deep. So I kind of have it pre-plotted now where it's probably going to work out for me just fine with that shallow trench that's already going on. So I mean, if anyone's ever looking for something like what I'm about to build myself from scratch, there's plenty of options out there, and they're not very expensive. I'll just scroll through. I wasn't going to do like a whole catch basin bit. I mean, it's probably pretty boring shit, but there's plenty of them out there. You can see that this one keeps popping up. Actually, I think that might be even a different one, but you can see it's more expensive. That one's 50 bucks. I bought all the materials that I'm going to show you in a few minutes to build it for it. I went overboard on everything that I bought, and I spent probably like 80 bucks total on steel stock to build it. So let's go take a look at the steel. This is the steel I bought. It's a 1/8 inch thick steel plate, 3 pieces of 3" by 48. And then I got some, what is this, 3/8 rod, 2 36-inch pieces, and 2 48s. Probably overkill, might not need to use all of it, but this is just a start, and all steel that I don't use, I use it somewhere else. I'm going to be using steel pipe, black steel pipe, or black iron pipe they call it, and it'll be, I think it's 1 inch or 1.25 inches. I can't remember which one I bought. So I'm going to start fabricating it, and then I'm going to cut the hole after, and we'll go from there. Alright, so the basic shape of the box is all tacked together. I haven't put the outlet on it yet, and I obviously haven't made the grate for it. So where I'm sticking this, right here, in this corner, because this is where the water collects, it's kind of lower, it's like a sunken in spot here. I want to figure out my grade for the pipe. I only need a 2-degree grade down that way, because I'm going to drain the water that way. So what I'm going to do right now is, I have this issue over here. This is all nice and deep. I dug it out, it's all dirt, but at the end of it, you can see I got like a little bit of concrete right here, and it causes the pipe to rise, and I don't want that because then the water will just kind of sit in the middle of the pipe. So I need to get rid of this little bit of concrete here. So we're gonna try out a new tool I just picked up. This is yes, it's a Harbor Freight brand. It's the Hercules 10 amp, 12 pound, this thing right here. So it's a kind of like a mini jackhammer. I'm gonna see how it works out. This is the 12 pound SDS Max. So yeah, let's see how this thing works out. It's 320 bucks at Harbor Freight. So kind of a sort of review. Maybe the thing will fail in the first 10 minutes. All right, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So this thing actually is awesome. It's very tame, easy to control. You can see I got my grade back. I just had to chisel it down a little bit more. Let's see if we can get a shot of how it sits in there now. So I'm just trying to get it lower, that's all. So this is what it is. It's a SDS type demolition hammer. It's obviously, I don't have any sponsors or anything. I'm just showing you that this thing actually worked great. I only use it for 15 minutes, but very tame, very easy to use. Actually, it was kind of like, you know, precise. Very, very simple, and made short work of this. Because I tried it with a hammer, I'm like, yeah, this isn't gonna work out. So now what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna start chiseling out the rest of the channel over to my box. I'm probably gonna take like some spray paint or something and just spray the edge around the box of where I want it, and then chisel it all out. I have a cutting wheel that will cut through the asphalt, so I don't know if I want to use that or if I just want to chisel it out with the demolition hammer since I have it out. Maybe I'll try some of that, and if it works good on it, I'll just keep going and do the cutout for the box. I'm going to be going about, I'm not sure how much bigger I'm going to go, 2-3 inches around, so I can create a space around it, and I'll gravel the hole and then put some like cement around it. So yeah, I'm gonna keep doing this, get this channel cut up to probably where the wall is, and try to figure out what my next move is. So here we are. The channel's all cut. I chiseled it out. I used a pickaxe, and I'm at my area where I'm putting in the basin now. So I didn't put the outlet on it. I didn't want to go to town just welding this whole thing up and then have to like change it later, because obviously that would be a pain in the ass. So I kind of set it up to where I want it. That way there I know exactly where I should put the outlet, and it's okay that the pipe is kind of bent a little bit. It's not, you know, it's loose. It's not a big deal. So what I want to do now is I just got to chisel out the hole, and I'll gravel the bottom of it so that I can like level this thing. And I'm probably going to level it, you know, this way a little bit towards the pipe and a little bit back, just so that the water is going to want to go into that hole. I don't know if it's going to work out just because this is deeper. I don't know if I'm going to have like enough grade. I only need just a tiny bit just to get the water moving. It'll probably be fine. I'm just overthinking it, but this is the first time I've put in like a catch basin into concrete and asphalt, whatever, in this area, I guess you could say. But I need to get rid of the water, so I just hope it works out. So I'm going to chisel out this hole and see if I can get this thing to sit exactly where I want it. Maybe even run some water down the pipe to make sure that it's going to exit where I want it to at the end. So yeah, let's do that. Alright, so I've got the channel all cleaned up for the pipe. I have my square cut out for this. My main problem right now is that the grade of the pipe, where it comes in, for it to grade, you know, down away from everything, it's too high up. It's coming up here because this is just too deep. So I need to like lift. I would have to lift this all the way up, and now I'd be, you know, I'd be above ground level. So it's just too deep. And again, I didn't really plan this out. I planned out materials and whatnot, but not how the short landscape I had going on was going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim it to here. So I'm going to cut all the way around and just effectively make this shallower. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to slice into this pipe, you know, cut out like a piece of it here, and then just fit it into it so that I can weld it to it almost on a very slight graded angle. That way there I can maintain a 2-degree angle for the water to get out. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So here we go. The catch basin's pretty much done. I just have to I have to build the grate for it. So I'm just gonna measure down and put a line around the inside edge. And it looks like it's about 6.5 this way. And I'll just space them out evenly with like a small piece of rod and connect them in between. I put this piece of pipe in there. It's kind of hard to see on camera, and don't mind the welds. I never claimed to be the best welder. It's all booger welded together, and honestly, I don't care if it's not supposed to be aesthetically pleasing, because this is going to be encased in concrete. As long as it's together and it's going to stay together, I don't really care. So if you look at this, you'll notice that the pipe kind of comes out at a very slight angle. That's it's like 2.5 degrees down, and that's just to allow water out. And as far as keeping it from rusting, I'm just gonna hit it with the flap wheel all over as best I can, prime it a few coats, and then I swear by this stuff. You can buy this at Tractor Supply, Magic Paints. This is just gloss black. So I'll hit it with some primer, and then honestly, I'm gonna brush this on. Normally I would spray it, but I want a nice thick coat on there just to make it last. I mean, it's just a little tiny catch basin. There's nothing special, but I want it to last, you know. And honestly, I think if I paint this thing really well and put a couple coats of clear over it, it'll probably last, who knows, it could last 50 years, whatever. So again, I recommend this stuff. The stuff is great. And a couple coats of clear and we should be good to go. Again, if anyone's watching this and they're like, why the hell didn't you just buy a catch basin pre-made? They're flimsy, they're plastic, and if you can tell, this is very shallow. And it's just the way my driveway is laid out, the grade it had, and how much room I had and how deep I could go. None of them would have worked. I would have had to have like trimmed them down, and it just wouldn't have worked for me. So that's why I just made this very shallow one, just to get the water away from my garage door. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make the grate for it. Just a lift off. I don't think I'm going to make it like a bolt-on grate or anything, just something that sets on it. And then I will clean it all up, prime it a few times, paint it, and then start fitting it into the hole and getting my grade for the drain pipe out just right, and then set it into some concrete. I'm going to be using like hydraulic cement. I may use concrete to cover the pipe all the way down the channel. I'm not sure yet, so just kind of, you know, winging it. I wing everything, just going with the flow. So time to start making the grate. So I stopped the hyperlapse just to show you how I'm making the grate. Pretty simple here, right? So because of the way the water will be running in this way, I want to put the grate together that way so, you know, the water can run in easier, just in case this abuts the edge. Anyway, probably being way too meticulous. I'm just going to show you how I'm going to get the length of how far I need to go. So from this measurement here is 9 3/4, right? So to figure out how many of these pieces of rod I need to make one that's exactly that distance, you can't just space it out any way you want. I mean, you'll end up with something that could be too big or too small. So what I did is I took these copper fittings here and a piece of my rod, and I just did some quick measurements here. So if we take the measurement in this in millimeters, it's like 9.4, and I believe this is another, yeah, this one was 17.8. So when you add the two numbers together, you get 27 millimeters, right? The total length we said was it's 9.75 inches. This directly converts into, I think it was, I wrote it on the back here, 247. So 9 3/4 is 247 millimeters. So that actually goes into that roughly 9 times. So I would need 9 of this combination, because this is the distance between these two. So we need 1, then another 2, 3, and 9 of those. And what that'll get me, what that'll do is that will put me like literally right on top of this nut. It's 9.5 inches total. So I'd have like a very small gap, like a 1/16 of an inch gap on either side of the grate when all is said and done. So it will just rest on this one, just rest on that one. And obviously the slots are going to be horizontal if you're looking at it this way. Just something I was going to show real quick. Okay, so I had to make a slight adjustment on it as I knew it wouldn't come out perfect. But so I divided that millimeter number I had into 9, and obviously that was actually ending here, and it would have put me past that. So I had to use like I think it was like a 10 millimeter nut. I used 2 of them just to get the spacing. So the spacing isn't perfect. It looks good all the way until you get to the end here, but okay, this is just a small catch basin. It's not a big deal. This is all welded up and it is extremely hot. So just a simple grate that will just slide right into place. It actually fits pretty good. It fits nice and tight in there. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. I mean, for a basic catch basin, it's going to sit like that in front of my garage. The water should just kind of flow right in there and do its thing. I know it's such a simple thing here. You know, it's basically just a shallow box, but I think it looks kind of cool. I almost want to just clear coat it and put it in like that, but I think if I paint it and clear coat it, it's just going to last longer. You know, I don't think anyone's going to tear up my entire driveway at some point just to get a better grade for drainage. They would just rather put a drain in. So hopefully it lasts for a long time, you know, after I paint it and it's in there. So now it's time to put it in the hole and see if we can get this thing concreted in there. So before I paint this thing, I'm going to cut a couple pieces of this rod right here, and I'm just going to weld a couple pieces to it, just some short pieces. And the only reason for doing that is when I set it in concrete, I want to make sure it never shifts. I want to make sure it's like, you know, got a little bit of structural strength holding into the concrete rather than just relying on adhesion to the box itself. So that's just something I'm going to do real quick, very simple. Just a couple small pieces, like, you know, attached to it, a little space in between it, just so it kind of gets held in the concrete. So I'm going to do that real quick. So we're all set. It's all painted up. Came out pretty good. If I can remove the grate. So the grate is like a nice tight fit in there. I didn't hit the bottom of it. It looks like ass. I'll probably take the grate out and hit the bottom of it better. But I'm just trying to get this done. We've had rain for like 6 days, and luckily this trench has obviously been taking the water out of here. But yeah, I'm gonna mix this stuff up in a 5-gallon bucket. I think it's about 5 bags worth. I'm hoping it's only 4. It'll take me a little time, but it doesn't bother me as long as it's in there. I'm not aiming for super pretty here. This is kind of, you know, it's gonna look however it comes out, honestly. I'm not going for something that looks super professional. I'm not a masonry guy by any means, but just something that functions and gets the water out of here is really all I'm looking for. So I'm just gonna start laying in the concrete this thing all together. I'm gonna use a mixture of just regular 5,000 psi concrete and some hydraulic cement. I'm gonna use this hydraulic cement in here around this, so I'll end up doing a concrete base, setting this in there, and then I'm gonna mix up some hydraulic cement to like a putty consistency. That way there I can kind of mold it around this so that it has a little bit of a taper in there, just so the water will go in there. So yeah, let's do that. Well, all the concrete's in. This part came out pretty good. I mean, this is my first catch basin in concrete, or ever, actually, for that matter. So, you know, it's all level. I laid it in there pretty wet. You notice towards the end I actually added a lot of water just because I wanted to fill all the gaps in there. The pipe, I had graded the pipe before, so the bottom of the trench was graded out towards the back so it'll drain right. So I'm just going to come out here every once in a while, give a little mist of water to make sure it cures good, and yeah, I think it came out pretty nice. I'll probably take another shot when it's all dry. It's going to need at least probably a day or two, maybe longer. Alright, it's finally done. All the concrete's in place. The night I poured this, the day I did, that night, it did get very cold, and I noticed I had some cracking here. Not really a big deal to me. It could have came out way better. I'm not exactly a mason, but I just needed something to drain the water out. So it's all cured. As you can see down here, the whole gap is all nice and filled up now. Comes out here to a pipe that exits right under there. You actually can't see it, but it's right there. I have a bucket of water over here just to show you a little test. So normally it would collect in this spot. I'm just gonna dump jump the water, and it will drain. Move over here. You can see it's the sun here. Drains nice, so I won't have that issue anymore. At some point, I'm probably going to do another project of fixing this right here. You can see the gap I have under my garage door. It's actually, you know, it's the concrete. It's not the door itself. The door is new and it's all nice and level. So I'm probably going to have to chisel all this out and re-pour it, which that'll be another project. But I do have another project coming up that I'm doing I guess you could call it a series on. It's underneath this tarp right here. I'm not really ready to reveal what it is. Maybe you can guess what it is just by its shape. I'm sure some people can. But I'm really excited. I've waited probably about 14 years to get one of these cars. I'm a GM person at heart. I mean, I have a G8 and a Firebird that I built. So this car is something kind of out of the normal for me. As you can tell, I'm not like the best videographer. I'm not a professional YouTuber by any means, but I'm trying to get better at it, and I hope everyone's patient with me, and I hope you enjoyed this video I did of my catch basin I have over here. Very simple project. You know, wasn't a huge fabrication project. It basically was just me welding up that catch basin there, but you know, it was a cool little project to do, and it took me about 3 or 4 hours. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll definitely have more to come. Thanks.